I am a fat guy. I have been all my adult life. Fortunately, there are legions of people on the internet who are willing to set aside their valuable time to inform me of the fact that I'm a fat guy because they're just so concerned about my health. Now, it's not like I don't own a mirror. When you tell me that I'm a fat guy, you're not letting me know anything I don't already know. And trust me, this isn't some sort of a fat acceptance video. No one who is honest would tell you not to be fit if you are so inclined. One guy wrung his hands and informed me very solemnly on social media, have you considered perhaps taking the weight off? And I posted a response video. I said, you've cracked it. You've cracked the code. Just stop being fat. Why didn't I think of that? And he deleted his comment and disappeared and unfriended me, sort of in disgrace and humiliation. But the fact is, the reason it doesn't bother me being fat is because it is still not the case that I can't defend myself. And there's a problem where people who are fit, many of them having never had to grapple with their physical fitness or their weight in their entire lives. It's very easy to be self-righteous when you've never had to deal with that problem. Not all of them, but most of them. Many of them become very irate when you just continue doing your thing, and worse, advocating for self-defense for everyone. I'm of the opinion that self-defense is for everyone. We all need to be able to defend ourselves in a dangerous world. And that means, yes, even if you're not in great shape. Do you know the single most common question I have received over the years that I have written on self-defense and taught about self-defense and sort of made myself a figure in the self-defense industry? The single most common question I've gotten in all that time is, what about me? I'm not in great health, or I'm older, or I have a physical or mobility challenge. What do I do? And the fact is that if step one of your self-defense program is, step one, become a semi-professional mixed martial arts athlete, I'm sorry, that's not a workable solution for most people. Now, I'm not saying that mixed martial arts doesn't make you tough. I don't think mixed martial arts is primarily self-defense training. I think if you do MMA, you have to supplement it with a sort of program of real-world, reality-based weapons type things. You know, what do you do when you face knives? What do you do when you face certain scenarios that are outside the sort of rules and scope of what mixed martial arts is? But it's a fact that if you are a trained and conditioned mixed martial arts athlete, you've got a lot going for you. I have a problem when mixed martial arts guys say, well, see, this is the solution. Do MMA. No, I'm sorry. For the average person, the injury rate is just unacceptably high. Training in something that's easily going to result in an injury within 6 to 8 months is not an option for a lot of people. I'm not saying it's not an option for everybody, but pretty much the people who succeed in MMA are those people who occupy a certain narrow spectrum of good physical health and resilience. And, some of these people are 20 years old and they're still made of rubber. But the fact is, mixed martial arts is not an option for everybody. But, okay, you could say, well, okay, so you can't do MMA. You could still be fit. And yes, that's true. But what do you tell the people who aren't fit? Do you say, come back when you get fit? You there, lose 100 pounds. Come back to me when you've lost 100 pounds. Well, chances are you're never going to see that guy ever again. Now, your average fat guy has a lot going for him, despite his disadvantages. I'm a big guy. I've got ham-sized hands. I hit really hard. I may be slow, but trust me, you don't want to be in the way on those rare occasions when I connect. And also, I train to cheat. I train in weapons. I train in things that will make me more effective, and I don't care what you think about them. This is not me trying to justify what I'm doing. I want the people listening who fall into the category with me of not the fittest out there to know that, yes, you still have options. You see, that's my point. As a fat guy, I want all the other fat guys and fat girls and everybody else who may have some sort of physical challenge to know that, yes, you can successfully defend yourself. You don't have to be perfect. Step one doesn't have to be go away, become perfect, and come back. And there's this weird phenomenon where fit guys are threatened by fat guys. What do I mean by that? Well, I liken it to when I wrote my first book on self-defense. I was a relative beginner, although I'd been studying self-defense for a long time up to that point. I was a relative beginner in the martial arts school that I was attending, and I chose to leave that school in order to pursue a different martial art. That martial art is the one in which I got my instructor credentials eventually, but at the time, I did not have those credentials. I decided I wanted to publish a book on beginner self-defense. And my teacher at that old school became very offended. I didn't understand at the time why he was so angry, but I figured it out later. He saw me publishing a book on beginner self-defense as the assertion of equality. And he resented that assertion of equality because, in his mind, he was better than me. The single most common reaction I got from friends when I announced that book was, well, gosh, I wouldn't have published a book. And you might think, well, that's a non sequitur. What does that have to do with anything? Well, when somebody says to me, I wouldn't have published a book, the implied parenthetical statement is, I think I'm better than you, and I wouldn't have published a book. But you've published a book, and that means I either have to feel like some injustice has been committed, or that maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. The average fit guy, when he sees a fat guy who's still fully capable of defending himself, and worse, the average fit guy who looks at the armed fat guy and realizes, that guy could take me apart, well, he doesn't want to admit that to himself. It hurts his ego. He doesn't want to admit that the average fat guy could even give him a problem. The fact is, anybody can lose a fight on any given day. Anybody can have a bad day. Anybody can win. Anybody can lose. Self-defense is kind of a gamble that way. But there is a phenomenon of fit guys being threatened by fat guys. And that's simply a function of them being uncomfortable with the fact that, yes, people who are imperfect, people they think they're better than, can still defend themselves. Now, I have a number of critics, and it is a source of amusement to me when those critics have to lash out in anger, and impotently rage against me on the internet because I dared to express an opinion that they don't happen to like. Well, too bad. There's nothing you can do to stop me. And even when YouTube deletes this channel because I'm politically incorrect, there's countless other places I can take this message. The fact is, there's a whole lot more of us fat guys than there are of you fit guys. And I don't resent you for being fit. I'm sorry that some of you resent us for being fat. But we're not going anywhere, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing because self-defense is for everyone. And if you have a problem with that, you're just going to have to learn to deal.